Hello. Today, my pals Lily, Sophia, and I would like to share with you a little game that I first learned about some 60 years ago when I was in my 8th grade social studies class by my teacher, Mr. Pazinko. Now, it's not a game that I've ever been able to find anywhere else, but I really enjoyed it, and I feel it's a good way to have some fun and learn something at the same time. So, I don't know what the name of the game really is. I call it Encryption. So let's take a look. It's a fun little game that challenges kids to figure out a coding pattern, decipher a clue, and then come up with the correct answer. I think you'll find it enjoyable, and it can also be a great learning tool. So here's how it works. There's a moderator, and the moderator could be a parent, a teacher, or even another student. And the moderator reads a series of seemingly nonsensical sentences. The players listen to the sentences and try to decipher the code that the sentences represent. Once the code is figured out, a clue is revealed. When you know the clue, then you try to guess the answer to the puzzle. Let's take a look at a simple example. So the moderator would read sentences like this. I went to Colorado. I liked it so much I stayed 15 days. I went to Louisiana. I liked it so much I stayed 15 days. I went to Rhode Island. I liked it so much I stayed 15 days. I went to Florida. I liked it so much I stayed 20 days. I went to Hawaii. I didn't like it, so I only stayed 5 days. I went to South Dakota. I liked it so much I stayed 11 days. I went to Yonkers. And the answer is stumped. I don't blame you. I think I'd be stumped too. Maybe if you had this encryption tool, it will help. Any luck now? Well, I can tell you that the code revealed the following clue: the color of the sky. So now that you know the clue, do you have a guess as to the answer to the puzzle? That's right, blue. Blue is the color of the sky. But how did we break the code? Let's try another example. Remember, use the encryption tool. I went to Arizona. I liked it so much I stayed 16 days. I went to Plymouth. I liked it so much I stayed 12 days. I went to Evanstown. I liked it so much I stayed 20 days. I went to Alabama. I didn't like it, so I only stayed 2 days. I went to Lock Haven. I liked it so much I stayed 5 days. I went to Trenton. Did you figure it out? If you did, you know the correct answer is iPad. Well, let me read the sentences again. This time, we'll look over the shoulders of Lily and Sophia and watch them as they try to break the code. I went to Arizona. I liked it so much I stayed 16 days. I went to Plymouth. I liked it so much I stayed 12 days. I went to Evanstown. I liked it so much I stayed 20 days. I went to Alabama. I didn't like it, so I only stayed 2 days. I went to Lock Haven. I liked it so much I stayed 5 days. I went to Trenton. Getting the idea now? If you broke the code, you know the clue that was deciphered was Apple tablet, iPad.
When the moderator says, I went to wherever, you write down the first letter of the destination. So when the moderator says, I went to Arizona, you'd write an A. And when the moderator says, I liked it so much I stayed blank days, you write the letter corresponding to in alphabetical order of the number. So I liked it so much I stayed 16 days. You write the letter P because P is the 16th letter in the alphabet.
Okay, let's try one more example. I went to Denver. I liked it so much I stayed 9 days. I went to California. I liked it so much I stayed 11 days. I went to Edinburgh. I liked it so much I stayed 14 days. I went to Singapore. I didn't like it, so I only stayed 3 days. I went to Hawaii. I liked it so much I stayed 18 days. I went to Israel. I liked it so much I stayed 19 days. I went to Tennessee. I liked it so much I stayed 13 days. I went to Akron. I liked it so much I stayed 19 days. I went to Hannibal. I didn't like it, so I only stayed 1 day. I went to Tanzania. I didn't like it, so I only stayed 5 days. I went to Rochester. So girls, what clue is revealed when you break the code?
Dickens Christmas hater.
That's right. And anybody out there know what the answer to the puzzle is? Girls?
Scrooge.
That's right. So this is a fun little game that you can make as simple or as complex as you like. And the clues can be chosen to aid in the study of any subject at all.
Thanks for watching. Bye.